just really enjoying. It's something else than just playing every day. And it's really nice to go out sometimes, and I really enjoy it here with all the other teams.
Yeah, we are friends with everybody, and obviously doing things like this makes us more friends. But of course, we got this competence, you know, and it's always fun.
I love it when the players actually come out and have a good laugh. Like whether it's just having beers at night or coming out and doing go-karting, it's so much fun. It's fantastic. But I don't think anyone's really friendly at this. Like everyone wanted to win, and it was great that one.
I feel like tricked because I didn't know the rules, and I hate losing, so. I know it's just a game, but well.
I'm really happy I won. Absolutely exhausted, to be honest, but I feel good. My arms are like completely tense. It's unreal. But look at that.
We face EG tomorrow, and it's gonna be not the same.
LCS, everyone. It's day 2 of week 8 here in Cologne, and we have 6 matches lined up for you today. Yesterday, EG pulled out a jungle Malzahar, but couldn't secure a win. The Copenhagen Wolves dominated Giants, and against all authority got the best of Dragonborns. At the end of the day, Gambit and Fnatic squared off, and Gambit triumphed. So before we dive into the action today, let's take a look at some of the best plays from yesterday's games. Candy Panda walks into a bush where 5 members of Fnatic are waiting, but luckily he has a stealth and escapes with his life.
Oh my god! Oh, he stealth went as he went through the brush, and he's like, oh, it's Fnatic, peace!
Down but not out, SK go for a hard engage on a Baron up Fnatic and take 4 kills.
Wait, Kevin's gonna follow that one down. Soaz jumps in on knife, he gets the kill, but he's gonna flip back, he jumps into the air. Double kill for Kevin though. They might get Soaz, they do. 3 for 1, no, 4 for 1.
Unfortunately, that 4-0 exchange for SK was not enough, and Fnatic scoring ace and a win.
Does Candy have enough damage? Peke finds Ocelot, that is 3 dead right now. Candy's still trying to run away, the teleport coming in. It's gonna be enough to kill off Kevin, and Candy Panda goes down as well.
Sporting an unusual jungler, Snoopy ganks top lane with his Malzahar.
And there's the Nethergrass, so much damage going on. He's gonna flash dash away. Snoopy, he's not in range, he pulls turret aggro, and that's gonna allow Fraga to jump in, and he jumps back.
With a 19-4 lead, Gambit go for a dive on the bottom lane turret, and Alex secures a pentakill and the win.
1, 2, 3, 4, is it going to be 5? I can't actually tell, it's a pentakill.
Bjergsen showcases his skill once again with Twisted Fate many times during this game, but his first kill comes from a turnaround gank by Giants.
Flash for this one, he's going. I don't know why he flashed.
The rest of the Wolves show that they can pick up the kills as well as they take a nice 3 for 1.
But here comes the box, it finds one. Morton goes down, now it's Extra taking a bunch of damage. Can he deal with this right now? It does not. It's going to be the test killing it, and now 3 for 1. That goes for the Wolves.
Giants set up for a sneaky team fight, but when all of their damage doesn't land 1 kill, the Wolves turn it around and the Giants surrender.
Gutbro still taking damage, but scared getting dropped low, but they find Morton first, and they don't find anything else afterwards. A beautiful setup, and they get nothing for it.
Brand new support Dude gets focused at Dragon, but shows his skills on Janna as AAA secures 2 kills.
There comes the laser. Slayer manages to take down Hosan. Well, that will be a 1 for 0.
The death of Yamato at the inhibitor signals the beginning of the end for Dragonborns, as Against All Authority picks up kill after kill and pushes for the win.
They can't quite get in there, but they're going to have this inhibitor turret away.
In this tense matchup, Wicked gives up first blood after falling to a gank from Hercubot and Ignite by Kevin on Rumble.
Good damage down. Kevin going to go in there. The Ignite is burning away. Is it going to be enough to finish him off? Yes, it is.
The game goes back and forth, but SK makes a sneaky Baron call after losing Candy Panda, and a crazy fight follows, leaving only Ocelot on TF with the Baron.
In the process, Wicked now getting in there as well. It was Yellow Pete who finally killed off Kevin. He got also the kill on towards Nick. Hercubot is running away. Double kill coming down there in the end.
After several one-fights, SK means business at EG's bottom inhibitor. The ultimates align, and SK secures a much-needed win.
Dominating, and SK surely going to finish the game right here.
Early first blood for Fnatic as Genja wanders into the wrong brush and drops to misfortune.
He may be in trouble.
Oh, there's the gold card coming in on towards Genja. He's flashed. Can he get away from it? He's had to use that here. First blood.
Fnatic, slightly behind in goals, pulls a great play between their mid turrets,
with Volibear picking up a double kill with the help of Xpeke's Twisted Fate.
Peke from that one. Here comes the Destiny. Where's the stun card? There it is. He's hitting from the tower now as well. A double kill for Cyanide.
Gambit dealt the deciding blow to Fnatic after going all in at their top inhibitor. Genja goes dominating and the Russian overlords close out the
Straight
game.
afterwards, and they're focusing down Yellow Star. They may get him before he can get to the fountain. Yes, it's Edward that gets that one. Gambit are going to win their 4th and final game.
Great stuff yesterday, and it's with great pleasure that I introduced the commentators for our first couple of games, Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan.
Thanks a lot, Shocks. Yesterday, an awesome day, Jason. We just saw the recap video there, and honestly, one of my favorite days so far here in the European LCS.
I'd say the highlight for me yesterday was the pentakill we saw on Alex. It was just hilarious, just watching him Goomba stomp every single person on the other team right there, and it was quite nice to see the second pentakill of LCS.
Yeah, we just saw that again in the highlights, and there you could see when we wanted to do a replay of it yesterday. Sorry, it didn't actually work out, but you could see, jump into each person as they all died. Really awesome. But let's have a look at yesterday's results. We've just seen them there in that recap video. But starting off here, of course, Fnatic managing to take down SK Gaming. Gambit then going on to beat EG. And, of course, the Copenhagen Wolves taking down the Giants.
And in the last 3 games of the day, Against Authority took a much-needed win over the Dragonborns. SK took a nice win in a very close match over EG. And Fnatic losing out to Gambit.
So let's have a look then at the standings and how everything stands after yesterday's play. Obviously, we have these lines in now, which are actually really important lines because the blue one, of course, indicates the top 2 with Gambit and Fnatic up there. And the bottom side, Giants and Dragonborns, sorry for them, not really doing what they need to do. However, Giants, they're not too far away from Against Authority. Things could change up today.
Yeah, and the thing was, they were 5th place before yesterday's games. They actually fell down to 7th from that. Wolves jumped back into that 5th place spot. So that just shows how close the bottom half of this bracket is and how anyone can really drop to the last 2 and really be out of LCS.
Yeah, and with Against Authority picking up that win as well, things are good for them. Right now, at least. But you never know what's going to happen today in the grand scheme of things. Jason, today we have another 6 games. It's almost a super week here. We have 6 games each day, so 12 in the weekend. What's the highlight for today, in your opinion?
I really have to say it could be any match. I think the highlight isn't necessarily one match. It's just about looking at Dragonborns, see if they can finally pick up a win because they're now 0-10. Looking at Against Authority, looking at Giants, just even the Wolves. Anyone in that bottom 4 is really the matches that I want to watch because that's where it really counts. You're playing in LCS, you're playing to stay in here, and if you keep losing matches, if you can't get these wins right now, you're going to be out.
And we saw yesterday Dude going 0-0-15, which means he tops the KDA ranking right now with 15. He should retire right now. He's going to win the KDA rankings if he retires right now. Yeah. But of course, guys, if you missed anything, you can find it all over on lolesports.com. And don't forget to pick your players for the European All-Star team. You can vote now for your top mid, jungler, AD carry, and support. But don't wait too long. The polls are going to be closing on April the 15th. So our first game of the day then, of course, is Dragonborns versus Copenhagen Wolves. Dragonborns have now done the Wolves in terms of... they've done the Wolves. That's what we're going to call it. They've done the Wolves at this point. They've even outdone the Wolves. They are 0-10 at this point since their last win in week 4, which is... not good.
I think we can almost call it.
I think we can say it's not good.
It's Poland to Dragonborns now, unfortunately.
Yeah, they've outdone them. 0-10, of course. Wolves before their first win were 0-9, so it's now doing a Dragonborn, sadly enough for them. But important games from today. If they lose here again a couple of times today in their games, you have to really think that they're down and out.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Maluno finally come back into the roster. He didn't do amazing yesterday, but that kind of, it's just getting back in scene. Like we saw him the first couple of weeks, didn't do too well, but as week 3 and 4 came around, he finally did play exceptional. But it's pretty much, if Dragonborns loses like another 1 or 2 games, like it's almost, well, I don't think it's almost mathematically impossible for them to stay in LCS, but it's very close.
Yeah, it pretty much is. And the end of things, I mean, this first game against Copenhagen Wolves, if we have to think of it this way, that Copenhagen Wolves were the team that everyone beat. They were 0-9 before they had their first win. Obviously, the whole roster changes kind of changed things there with Bjergsen coming back. Obviously, when he hit the grand old age of 17, so that he was able to play here in the European LCS. But Dragonborns, they've had their changes, and to be honest, up until now, they've not really worked out for them.
Yeah, we could probably argue, actually, if it was better to keep Spontex and Ludo on the team because they were actually getting wins back then. But, you know, even if they look at it right now that they're not going to win a couple of matches now, like in the next couple of weeks, they can look forward to the relegation matches and really come together as a team and try to get back into the LCS.
Yeah, but I think they need it now. Basically, they need it now. And with those roster changes, it just doesn't meld very early on. That's just how it is, sadly enough. But of course, against Authority, they also have that new support in there with Dude, who is top of the KDA rankings now with 15 KDA. It's pretty strong. But there are our games for today, of course. Dragonborns versus Copenhagen Wolves first up, and then moving into against Authority versus the Giants. Two bottom of the table clashes, which, you know, a win there can really help you in the grand scheme.
Yeah, that's true. And they need those wins, as we keep talking about, because we're so close to the end of the first half of LCS. Then in match number 5, we have Ozone Giants versus SK Gaming, and we're going to end the day with a really exciting match with the Wolves going against Gambit Gaming.
Yeah, and that's a game, honestly, that Copenhagen Wolves could win. I mean, they're in form right now. They're doing very, very well. But, of course, our first game is really the important one. For Dragonborns in particular, do they have really what it takes to win here?
I think in LCS you can't count any team out. I think that's the thing we should stress. But, you know, with the way it's been going, with how much pressure they're probably under right now, with how bad they might feel, their mentality about the game and how they've been playing might just crush their hopes. I'm hoping that they can kind of wipe that off and just come in fresh with a new week and say, hey, we can win some matches, let's do it today, and let's finally get back into these standings.
Well, we're going to start the games here in just a moment, but of course we want to hear what you guys at home have to say about them. Let's get over to Shox, who's going to let you know how to get in touch with us.
Thank you very much. Of course, first off, we have a Twitter question for you. Which player deserves to be on the All-Star team the most, and why? Tweet us your answer at LOL eSports, hashtag LCS, and let us know what you think. Any opinions you may have on anything LCS at LOL eSports, hashtag LCS. And now, the Dragonborns are looking to break away from that last spot in the standings. Can they take down the Copenhagen Wolves? The first match of the day, the Dragonborns versus the Copenhagen Wolves, coming up next.
Welcome back. So let's check out our first game of the day. Of course, it is Dragonborns versus the Copenhagen Wolves. And right now, Dragonborns, they're not doing very well, I think is a bit of an understatement. 0 for 10 right now. They need a win here against Copenhagen Wolves.
They do, and the hardest thing is that you're against a Wolves team who's kind of has a lot of momentum behind him. Bjergsen yesterday played phenomenal on that Twisted Fate. You know, he would always gank every single lane, come in and pick up those kills, and they have a lot of work cut out for them if they want to pick up that win. Yeah,
and I think a big problem for them as well, of course, is these roster changes. Yamato Cannon coming in. He's now the leader of the team. We heard a video yesterday where he said, I am the leader that the Dragonborns need. But up until now, honestly, it's not really worked out for them. Obviously, replacing Spontex in there. Maluno was swapped out for Dexter. He's now back in the lineup. Right. But again, I mean, that's going to help them. The fact that Maluno is back. They know Maluno. They know how to play with Maluno. They know how Maluno thinks and works. But it all has to come together here today, honestly, because Copenhagen Wolves, you know, they're not out of danger in terms of relegation. They started off badly, which really shows if you look down their results. But this is their chance now to start to break away from these bottom three.
Yeah, and they've shown it every single game that they can. Like, even in the beginning of the entire season, they would always win that early game, and they always had the problem as the game progressed on into these team fights. But they've been working on that, it seems, lately. We've had Sven Skaren, who played a phenomenal game yesterday, and they really come together as a team as the season's gone on. And Dragonborns, you know, we never really touched on this, but since you did mention it, Yamato Cannon is like the new voice of the team, like when in game. So they're not only are they adapting to a new top laner, they're adapting to a new shot caller, and that could really take some time to get used to.
And that's the funny thing, when we talked in the early season, when things were honestly going a little bit better than they are now for Dragonborns, they said, we don't have a natural leader in the team. We miss that almost. The communication is really open and everyone's making calls, and we don't have one set person that says, this is what we're doing, this is when we're doing it, and this is how we're doing it. And now Yamato Cannon's there. Hopefully that comes together for Dragonborns, but it's going to be a tough step.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, before Dragonborns had the little bit of a breakup or the subbing of Spontex and Maluno, there was too many voices. That, like, we saw too many people rise up, and then there would be calls where, like, one person would say to do one thing, another person would say to do another thing, and then the team would just fall apart.
So let's have a look then at the two lineups that we're going to be seeing here in our first game of the day, starting with Dragonborns on the blue side with their new man Yamato Cannon in the top lane, Maluno in the jungle, Shushe in the middle lane, and of course Hosen and Mover, the AD carry and support.
And over for the Copenhagen Wolves, we have Godbro in that top lane, Sven Skaren going to be in the jungle, Bjergsen in that mid lane, and the Tess and Neficio at that bot lane.
So let's have a look a little bit more in depth at the two teams and pick out the key players for this one. Starting with Dragonborns, we've highlighted Shushe, who, you know, he was a Season 1 champion, obviously won that with Fnatic, but is going to have to step up today in, you know, his role in that middle lane against a very much on-form Bjergsen. It's a difficult thing to do, to come into this one. You know, Shushe, everyone knows Shushe.
Right.
But he's coming up against Bjergsen here, which is a player that, since he's hit the magical age of 17, come into the lineup, he's allowed to play, and honestly, he's been one of the more impressive teams that one of the more impressive players that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, Shushe has his work cut out for him because he's going against probably one of the best European mid laners at this point.
Correct.
And that's a lot of work for you to go around. Like, every win that Dragonborns have had, he's always been like a person to really keep the team going. Like, he's always been the big playmaker, but it seems like over these past couple of weeks, he's fallen out of that, and they have to have someone else step up.
Yeah, and the fact is that Shushe right now, statistically, is the worst performing mid laner in the entire European LCS. So that's something that he's going to need to figure out here today. Let's have a look at the Copenhagen Wolves then, and in particular, the AD carry, the Tess.
Yeah, we keep talking about how he's finally been able to shine with the pressure off his shoulders with Bjergsen coming into the team. He's always been really good in the lane. Like, he never usually loses it, but he's never also very aggressive at the same time. He always has been that dominating late game force when they won against these really hard matchups, and he usually is the one to carry the team at that point. And also, he plays this, like we mentioned, or I'm sorry, I mentioned that, is that he plays his lane very passive, and maybe a change in play styles might catch the other team off guard. Maybe if he's playing really aggressive out of nowhere, like we saw Genja do in Katowice, that they can pick up a couple extra wins.
Well, the Copenhagen Wolves, of course, have been the comeback story of the European LCS, but will the Dragonborns' recent roster change throw them off their game even more at 0 for 10 currently? Let's see what they had to say before we get into the game.
Copenhagen Wolves, they've really improved past the weeks. They've really developed the team spirit.
I have a hard time figuring Dragonborns out now with the new roster changes. I don't know exactly where they are or how they want to play. they seem to like be in a bit of a position where they don't know themselves how they want to play.
I don't know what to expect of the match because I think they're a top contender in Europe right now.
Shushe might be able to handle one wolf, but he's not able to handle an entire wolf pack.
So a little bit of a cheesy line there from Deficio to end the video, but he might be right, you know. Shushe, we had the player conference this week, and Shushe brought his dog along, or his wolf along, actually, as we probably should call it, as it's the friendliest wolf I've ever met.
I've never actually met a wolf besides the 5 that we have out there playing in a few couple of minutes.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, but it's going to be an interesting matchup. And Mono Cannon, he was talking about how they're going up against probably one of the better teams in European LCS. And we keep mentioning that he's new to the team and stuff, but I would not want to be in his shoes because the amount of pressure you have to research the teams, to know how they play, to make the calls that he has to do, and really help get your team back in the game. I mean, look at Shushe. You can tell he's kind of like slightly worried and really focused at the same time, that he knows they need to pick up wins.
Well, he's not yawning today, which means he's at least more awake than he was yesterday. They weren't looking very good yesterday, and hopefully they've prepared here nicely for the game against Copenhagen Wolves. So we are going to be getting here into Champions, like you can see there on the player screen, that we have in fact just hit that one. So Jason, what are we expecting here in terms of bans and picks from the Copenhagen Wolves versus Dragonborns?
I expect Jarvan to be banned out. We saw Sven Skaren yesterday just do phenomenal on him. He was, I think, like 7-1 at one point. He was actually even 5-0 earlier in the game. Draven most likely as well over on the Dragonborn side, or against them, because why would you not ban Draven against Hosan? Yeah. And even a couple of bans targeted at Bjergsen, because they even mentioned in their video that they have to go up against him. They have to shut him down somewhat, and by banning out a couple of his champions might be the key to that.
And there is the Twisted Fate ban we saw yesterday. Twisted Fate was a very successful champion, winning actually 100% of the games that we saw from Twisted Fate until we hit that final game. So obviously that's not going to play a role here in this one. Let's see what Copenhagen Wolves ban out second. And there is the Jarvan ban, which is interesting. The fact that Copenhagen Wolves ban out Svenskaren's go-to champion right now.
Well, they know Maluno can play Jarvan, so they kind of don't want to go up against it, but that leads me to think that if Svenskaren is going to jungle anyone, it will be Xin Zhao. That's his 2 most played junglers. So Dragonborns could take that away from him, force him to play something he's not comfortable with, but it's still a solid ban overall, and we have seen that, 2 bans so far. I wouldn't be surprised to see Zed banned out, actually, as a potential, at least for the Wolves side, because you can't let anyone Dragonborn side have it, but you also can't let Bjergsen have it on the Wolves side. But Lux is taken away, and obviously that will be one of Shushe's most played champions, and Bjergsen as well, so he's taken himself out of the game, but as long as he takes himself and Bjergsen, it's kind of okay, it bounces out.
So what's the final ban going to be here for the Copenhagen Wolves? Where will it be aimed? Draven and Jarvan, their first 2 bans up until this point, and taking a little bit of time for it, which tells me that usually there is the Z ban finally, which we were just talking about. But usually when you see the slower bans coming in, that means they're more reactionary.
Yeah, and because of that, I was going to say that they were looking to pick up Thresh, I thought, since Deficio just played a very solid one. But Dragonborns do take that away instead, so we're going to see Movert on him, and he's always one of those really aggressive supports that people haven't really caught on to on how to completely counter. We even saw in the Curse TSM game 2 days ago that there was an interesting play out of Xpecial where he would wind up his Q, flash into the other person, and would instantly grab them because it still actually goes off when you pop that flash. So we could see some amazing plays coming out of that, and not to mention the box that it gives you. It can really shut down a team that tries to dive you all in.
Yeah, we'll see then if Movert can bring a much-needed breath of fresh air into this game. So the next pick's coming in then. Shen obviously left open in terms of the bans, and Godbro gonna say thank you very much. I'll have that Shen and Varus, which right now is one of the most picked AD carries.
Yeah, he is, and we will see why here with the test, because he's always played phenomenal on him. It's one of those champions that you can have a really nice poke with that Q, with that E. And not to mention, as the game does progress, you run into that problem of teams stacking health, stacking armor, and with your passive off W, doing that % health damage, it can really kind of counter that. It looks like Maluno might potentially go for Nasus here. He's done a phenomenal job of adapting to the Season 3 junglers in LCS, I have to say. Because his kit, originally was mostly around a Mumu, which we did see the first couple of weeks, but he's really changed around to Volibear, changed around to Nasus. And he's kind of really done, really adapted the way he needs to do. And we see a Graves picked up for Hosan here. I want to be ballsy and say that could potentially not be on Hosan, because we haven't seen him on Graves too much, but most likely it will be him.
I would imagine so. If you're right about that, an incredible call, Jason. But we'll see where that ends up going. In the end, right now, obviously, Copenhagen Wolves have their top lane. Obviously, we have seen Shen in the jungle, but honestly, right now, he's not seen as someone that that we're seeing in the jungle. Varus, of course, will be locked into that AD carry role. Let's see what Copenhagen Wolves will add in towards that one. It looks like Zyra going to be a choice here for Deficio.
I think Xin Zhao as well as the next picked up champion. They want to leave Bjergsen, it seems like, as the last pick, so that way he can hard counter anything Dragonborns puts mid lane. So you always get that, ability to run Kassadin, which is always a great last pickup on the purple side or the red side. And they do lock in that Xin, and the Zyra going to be a nice little counter to that Thresh combo, because your Grassroots have a longer range, I believe, than the Q off of Thresh, so you can really hold him back. And not to mention Graves, you can really lock him down if you land a perfect route on them.
I would call you a bit of a prophet for calling that Xin Zhao pick. However, Svenskeren, he plays Jarvan and he plays Xin. Mostly. That's what we've been seeing coming out of him. So he's going to be on a very comfortable champion, Jax. Now, Jax, we have seen a couple of times, but honestly, not been impressed.
I have not been. None of us have been impressed, to be honest, over the past entirety of EU LCS. Even in Extreme Masters World Championships, we weren't that impressed with it. We saw even the Korean teams pick it up, didn't do too much. We even saw Gambit pick it up, didn't do really anything right there. But if they do lock that in, we'll see how well Yamato Cannon can use him in that top lane. And we have Vi available right now. If Shushay wants to run her mid lane, it's always a possibility, but 3 seconds left. I'm curious to see what they're actually going to go for.
A very much last minute pick here. Brand.
Okay.
Ari. Damn it.
I was looking at that, I was like, Brand. Maybe a support Brand could be a possibility, but as you see right there, Kassadin will be locked in as the last pick. That's a perfect opportunity to do it, and Bjergsen, we've seen him time and time again, how amazing he is on Kassadin. I'm kind of hoping we're going to see that yet again.
Yeah, we saw, of course, when Bjergsen first came into the European LCS, picked up a quadra kill in his first week, was touching on the pentas a little bit, but then, of course, he did actually, in the end, make that first penta kill with Syndra, nonetheless, which, honestly, we've not really seen much of since then.
Yeah. I'm curious why, but, maybe it's just one of those things Bjergsen was comfortable playing off the bat just to catch people off guard, and then kind of had to stray away from it because people learned how to play against it. But, looking over the lines we have right now, so we have, for Dragonborn side, we have the Jax, who naturally gets tanky just through the items you end up picking up. It does a lot of damage, and it forces a lot of focus for that team to go against him. You have the Nasus to follow up to shut down the test with attack speed. You have Shushay, who it's going to be hard from early on against Kassadin, because that silence can really shut you down, especially when you're trying to go for your ult and jump around. But then Kassadin has the same exact thing. And then you have the Graves Thresh lane on bottom, which will be very bursty. So they have a really strong mid to late game team, I'd have to say. And over for the Wolves side, having that Kassadin, that's what it's all going to be about. How will Bjergsen be able to hold his lane and also roam around into lanes and interact?
Yeah, and generally Bjergsen has been on form. We have to say that. He is right now one of the best mid laners around, that's without a doubt. And at the ripe young age of only 17 years old, coming into this one, obviously only turned 17. I think in the second week of the European LCS, he turned 17, then was here for week 3 or week 4, if my mind's not failing me completely on that one. There's Svenskeren, of course, who this time around will be playing Xin Zhao, another comfortable champion. They banned that Jarvan out, but Xin is another one that he is very comfortable on.
Yeah, and we'll see how well he can use it, because that was actually key to one of their first wins, his ultimates. He always placed them perfectly, really dispersed the team into his own team, like the right targets in his own team, the right targets away. And we'll see if he can do that yet again here.
So here we go then, in-game with Dragonborns taking on the Copenhagen Wolves in week 8 here of the European LCS. And of course, a win that both teams honestly need right now. Copenhagen Wolves are a lot more in form. That's a bit of an understatement maybe than the Dragonborns, who right now are 0 for 10. And they don't want to go 0 for 11 today, that's for sure.
You might even say that gives them an opportunity to do some crazy stuff, especially at level 1. Like, why not? You kind of need to make the high-risk, high-reward plays here, but, just seeing the Wolves are reacting to it. They're just playing passive, just guarding their own jungle, and they really want to secure the red and blue for Svenskeren. But you also do see, with the test in the top lane, we're going to have the swap coming in for him.
Yeah, and talk us through that. I mean, level 1, it looks like we're not going to see too much anyway. But those lane swaps, I mean, Jax versus Varus and Zyra, that's a hard lane for a Jax.
It really will be, and he's always been one of those champions where he needs to get that farm to really become that late game force. But then again, if you take that tower early, which I don't expect the Wolves to do necessarily, if they go for it, they take the tower early, it gives Jax pretty much a free lane to farm up. He has a pretty decent time farming under the turret, so as long as he gets that pushed up to his own tower, he'll be fine because of that W, that auto attack reset. But then you have Shen in the bottom lane who can sting quite well. It looks like he is going for that 9 health pot 1 ward combo, which, you know, why not do that if you're going to be in a swap lane like that against an AD carry and support? But he shouldn't really be able to be killed at all.
Yeah, don't imagine that they'll see a first blood without any interaction there from the jungler. We can see that both AD carry and support from both teams are starting off with the golems. There is Bjergsen just helping out Godbro to take down the walls first of all, and Svenskeren starting with the wraiths, as is Maluno.
You know, with the items we have picked up already on Movert, it looks like they actually wanted to go against the Tess and Deficio because he has that rejuvenation bead, so he needs extra regen against the plants that Deficio can use. So it looks like they might have been countered just a little bit here, and it's not the ideal situation for them to be in.
Well, we can see the Graves already in the lane doing the work. Yamato Cannon also in this top lane. He's like, well, they're not here. I'm going to take this opportunity to actually get some farm and have a bit of freedom.
Wow.
We say that Godbro's not going to have too much trouble in lane, and there he is going very, very low early on. And, well, the range exclusively there really from Graves, just pushing him out of the lane.
And even the early level 2, since they did take the double golems, he was able to hit that 2, use that quick draw, get in there and really push him out with that nice attack speed. But, you know, as a wave will be able to push up, he should be fun to turret. I mean, still has 7 health pots left. That's a lot of health to pick up. There's no wards currently at the bot lane, so Svenskeren comes in. They potentially could look at going for a gank, but if they do that, Godbro will miss out on so much CS that'll actually hurt him in the end.
Wonder if we're actually going to be seeing a 3-man gank appearing anywhere. We can see that Svenskeren actually coming down, or was coming down at least, towards this bottom lane maybe to back up Godbro, but in the end he decides to back away from that. And, you know, these whole 3-man ganks coming through the tri-bush on either side, they've become less and less common because they were almost too obvious at the time when we saw them.
Yeah, you see wards down to really spot that. You even have one in Yamato Cannon's top side. He has it in that tri-bush to prevent any kind of gank coming in from Svenskeren. And the same, we have that ward at the bot lane for Godbro to really defend against that. Though a pink ward was put down by Movert, so they might be creating an opportunity. However, you know, Maluno, he's not really in a position to necessarily go for that gank just yet.
So let's have a look then at the early CS. The AD carries almost bang level, the mid lane is bang level, jungler not much of a difference, and the 1v2ers right now, the solo lanes, not having too much to go for the time as Bjergsen going very, very low here. The Ignite was put down by both players. Shushe in a similar position in terms of low HP, but they are going to both survive, at least for now.
I have to say, though, Bjergsen won that trade in the end because Shushe committed so much mana to harassing him down that Bjergsen still has over half his mana pool and has the health pots to really keep himself alive. So he's just trying to get that level 6 because when he does, he knows he can beat Shushe.
So he's got a big wave now coming onto that turret, which up until now wasn't doing such a great job of actually catching them, with Svenskeren coming down into this bottom lane to help out Godbro, try and force the Graves Thresh lane a little bit back. Again, he goes into the bush right in full view of minions, and while he's not the sneakiest person in the world, as we are going to see that Bjergsen again putting down a little bit more damage onto Shushe, who's honestly at this point critically low.
Yeah, he's sticking around maybe a little bit too long, but that kind of gives a sign that Maluno will be coming around to help him out. As he does, he will be holding that turret from him as he does go back. But that's a great job by Bjergsen, because Castanet is so hard to lane early on, since you can be harassed by auto attack range, that once he hits that level 6, he's just going to take off because he's equal in farm.
So there is Maluno just getting straight in on towards Bjergsen. Did take the Sphere, which did do quite a lot of damage considering that he's only level 5 right now. But interested to see how Bjergsen's going to play this one. Once he hits level 6, obviously gets that extra mobility from the Void Walk. Can we expect him to get involved so much in these other lanes?
Oh yeah, that's his style. That's like right up his alley. If he's not split pushing, he's going to be in those other lanes helping out. And even when you're casting, it makes it so easy to do that. The top lane, if you could grasp and root Jax when his ward's going to be up very soon, because you know he put it down early on since he doesn't have it on him currently, that you can easily go for that gank, and that will be a pretty much guaranteed kill.
Yeah, and Jax right now is only level 3, by the way. 11 CS, and we kind of expected that that's how it was going to go for Jax. Not going to have a good lane 1 versus 2. Gone for that Doran's shield early on with the elixir and pots from a little bit earlier on. So Yamato Cannon not having the best time of things right now, but we know that if Jax later on gets a farm, he can be a strong force. The question is whether he'll get to that point.
That's why I like what the Wolves are doing. I mentioned in the beginning, if they're going to push that turret down, they're going to give Yamato Cannon that opportunity to go for that. But they're not pushing it down just yet. They're just trying to freeze lane as much as possible, keep him out of that CS range, and really kind of get a nice lead over him. Because, you know, looking to his counterpart, he's losing 19 to 11 CS.
So let's have a look at the early items here. Doran's ring, boots, and pots for Ari compared to that tier for Cassidy. As he actually goes in here, this is level 6 now, so he has got that Rift Walk in there, which I called the Void Walk earlier on, which obviously makes no sense because that's not what it's called.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, I know, but still.
but you know, in terms of items, like, this is a really crucial point because you have the tier. Oh, we do see she can't come into the bot lane. In fact, it doesn't happen. But you have the tier, so you have Bjergsen trying to go for that sustain, trying to go for a great harass over time. And then you have the Doran's ring, so it gives him a little bit extra health. He's trying to survive the burst, but as you saw right there, no amount of health pots is going to keep him alive against Bjergsen doing that over and over and over again, and not to mention 30 seconds away from him getting his own blue.
And look at this there, in that top lane, the tower very, very low. Yamato can not able to do anything to defend really against that one. Himself going fairly low from the Tessa's pressure. And if we look at the CS actually between the AD carry support, it's actually quite even there as we do see the flash coming out. They actually turn around, going towards Move It. He's going to flash, knock them away there. And that will beat Copenhagen Wolves not quite getting in for that first blood, but flashing away from the taunt, important thing to do, because I think if that taunt would have landed, that could have been the death.
Important, but it also leaves you open to another gank. We had Bjergsen sniffing around. He was coming through the jungle to go down there, but that just gives him a sign. Hey, I can gank top right now, turrets low. Hey, I can gank bottom. There's no flashes up for either of them. He is going to have a field day when he finally gets around to go for this gank.
And Shushe actually heading himself back home. He's level 6, Bjergsen at level 7, as we are going to see the taunt land here on towards Mover, and there's not really much that he can do about that one. Godbro taking turret hits there, actually decides to flash in the end just as he gets out of range, and that will be the first kill of the game going over to Copenhagen Wolves. They could take this top tower here as well.
Yeah, and that was a great job knowing their limits on that gank. I mean, yeah, Godbro kind of flash out in the end. He wasn't expecting to be taking the aggro, but still, I mean, they're pushing their skills to the limit at this point. You see Svenskeren actually being forced to flash over that wall. It was a good use, not wanting to give a kill over to Hosan right there. We know how deadly Hosan can be when he starts to get a couple of kills, but Bjergsen is backing away now. He's picking up a Ruby Crystal, and we still see the Wolves. They haven't taken the turret just yet because they still want to deny as much CS as possible away from Yamato Cannon.
Yeah, he is falling considerably behind if you compare him over to Shen. Also in that 1v2 lane, as we see an invade here from Dragonborns going in towards that blue buff with Svenskeren, though, still hanging around.
It's a smart play on their part. They want to take that blue away from Bjergsen because they know how crucial it's going to be for him. We do see it taken, as we do see Bjergsen going in on a Shushe here. Not going to be able to chase him down. Oh, actually, it looks like he might be able to with that Ignite used.
I was going to say, it didn't look like he was going to chase him down, but Bjergsen's like, well, why not? I can probably go for this one. Shushe actually was forced to pop the first charge of his ultimate, which, you know, he didn't even really use the second and third charge of that one. So that's a good force from Bjergsen in the end to make Shushe use that ultimate to get away.
And it's a key point that Dragonborns took that away. I mentioned, you know, trying to deny the blue from Bjergsen so he can't get the snowball going on, but they need to take their own blue now. If they don't take it anytime soon, the Wolves are going to collapse for it because they know how much they're going to need it here. As we do see Maluna, he's going to be heading his way up there on that mini-map. And we have Shen returning to, or not returning, going to the top lane for the first time against Yamato Cannon, but it's a level 7 Shen with a Giant Spell versus a level 6 Jax with just a Doran shield at this point, and Godbro's going to win these trades any day.
Yep, and you can see that Yamato kind of knows that, as well as the blue buff is going to go over to Shushe. So you were just talking about how important it's going to be to secure that one, because Svenskeren would have come around to try and take that one away. As it is, though, Dragonborns having both blue buffs in their team right now, one with Maluno, one with Shushe there on Ari, as we see now finally things returning to somewhat normality in this bottom lane, where the AD carries and supports going head-to-head.
Yeah, because of the early turret that Copenhagen Wolves got, because of the easy amount of farm that the Test could pick up, he's just out-damaging Graves at this point. He has a BF Sword, which, you know, they're both equal on, but he has a Vamp Scepter on top of that, so that sustain is going to be very crucial for him to really harass Hosan down.
And again, they're pushing that through with that extra damage that they've got. We've just seen Bjergsen actually starting to come down. The charm will land there, I think, just as he hit the Rift Wall. That was a bit of a strange situation, both skills being used at the same time, as Shushe again going to take the damage. That's the danger about casting. It's something that we don't really talk about too much, as we do see the charm land. We talk about the Rift Walk and its mobility, and that's how, you know, that's the whole thing about casting. We don't really talk too much about the silence that he has, which, you know, against a bursty AP is actually really, really important.
And it makes it easier for you to lock down Ari. If you land the silence onto him, Diffuser can follow up with the Grasping Roots. You could have Godbro land a nice taunt. Like, it gives that ability to lock her down, and that's what Ari thrives on, is that mobility to get around, to dodge all your skill shots in the middle of a team fight, and they should be able to shut that down if they play their cards right.
As Yamato kind of actually going in on towards Godbro, which You know, Chen is just not scared of anything at this point. Got a Giant's belt in there with the boots and still a couple of pots, which I'm not sure if he bought pots up before. Obviously, he did start with the Ward 9 pots. He's still got a couple in there. I don't know if he actually bought them again coming back in towards the lane, but he had a fairly easy time, apart from that level 1 where Hosan actually quick drew in towards him. Just making the skills up as we go along. Quick drawed, I've been told.
Quick sketched.
See what you did there. Quick drawed, which actually is definitely quick drew, by the way. He quick drew.
So he eat into him.
He eat into it. And then he did a lot of damage, which forced him to burn through a couple of those. So I think that he bought them afterwards. Not that it's really that big of a talking point at this stage. One thing that is a big talking point is we are going to see a lot of damage coming in here. Shushay coming down. There's a Stranglethorn's going to knock Shushay in the air. And Copenhagen Wolves will be safe from that one. But what was burnt? A flash from the test, a flash from Deficio, plus that ultimate coming out of Deficio as well.
Oh, more importantly, they didn't die in that in the end. That's the main goal. And we saw Deficio channel his inner Babetta right there, landing a perfect ultimate on those 2 members of Dragonborns. And, you know, something that we didn't talk about too much earlier is that since Bjergsen didn't get blue, we saw Svenskeren kind of sticking around mid quite a bit, trying to go for that gank on a Shushay to give him that blue. And because of that, like because Dragonborns took the blue, not only did they deny it away from Bjergsen, but they gave their bot lane and top lane the opportunity to kind of free farm. And I say that in quotations because obviously they're going to have a hard time against the other team, but they're not going to be too worried. As we do see Mudo kind of getting caught here, but he should be able to escape, I want to say.
Well, Shushay actually coming from the side, lands a nice charm through the wall there on towards Svenskeren. And look at Godbro, he's not scared, going right underneath the turret there in towards Yamato Cannon. That whole talk that I did earlier on about Godbro and, you know, his health pots, which didn't really mean anything. But the point I was trying to get to eventually was the fact that the CS is almost double as much at this point for Godbro.
Oh, Bjergsen's trying to go for a kill here. He might be able to pick it up. He Riftbox one more time. But instead, I guess he just pushes Shushay out. So in the end, he still wins from that. He might get a little bit of damage on this mid turret. And we see the top and actually a fight breaking out. Yamato Cannon getting very low.
Oh, there's a great taunt landing from Godbro. There's the ultimate from Svenskeren. I thought he actually just saved him there for a second. But actually managing to land in there. Maluno actually getting the wither down on towards Godbro. But not sure this is exactly what Maluno wants. And in the end, just decide to back away there. He's moving down in the bottom lane. And the test just destroys him.
And yeah, use the ultimate, perfect timing on that. That's the damage of Varus. That's why you see him banned out so often. Bjergsen, he's trying to go in for a kill on Hosan, and he should be able to pick it up here.
Yeah, Hosan trying to get away, slowed there. Actually flashes just about away from the grasping roots. Bjergsen, though, doesn't care about that. He's going to go in. There's the barrier used. Bjergsen tanking up the turret and will go down. Varus did get the kill, though, onto Graves.
That's what Hosan's so damn good at doing, is he gets people under the turret. Even though he'll die, he'll still pick up 1 or maybe 2 kills. So he picked up 1 there. It gets him a little bit ahead. Well, not a little bit ahead. He's still a bit behind, but it helps get a couple of items that he's going to need because with the way all the other lanes are going at this point, with Shushay behind in CS, you have Bjergsen who has an assist under his belt, they're going to need his damage, even when Yamato Cannon, who has 48 CS at this point, is not a threat at all.
How we see Shushay landing the charm, plus the Q over on towards Godbro, but you saw exactly how much damage it did, which was almost 0 at this point. He's got double Doran's ring in there. Obviously had a bit of a hard time against Bjergsen in that lane. The health was pretty much needed from Shushay, to be honest. He could have died.
And the thing is, he's sitting on 400 gold right now. You would imagine with those items to be like, oh yeah, he could pick up like an easy large rod when he goes back. But he went straight for those home guard boots. He knows how quick he needs to get back to lane because Bjergsen was harassing him so well. He's pushing him out of lane consistently that would benefit him way more than picking up an item. But he needs to make that worth it. He needs to be getting a lot of farm because of it and really kind of get some items that he's going to need for the damage. Just like you mentioned, against Godbro, it did pretty much none to him.
Yeah, and we see there how important that blue buff is to Copenhagen Wolves. There were 3 men there. The test came down. Svenskeren was there just to make sure that Dragonborns, upon it spawning this time around, weren't going to get too involved in it. There is a blue buff being taken away by Dragonborns as well, and that's going to go over to Shushay.
And Wolves did have a timer on it. We saw Svenskeren come around and spot it, but it looks like they don't want to try to commit to it. Don't want to get in a bad position because they're up 4-1 at this point. It's 21.7 thousand gold to 18.4. No dragon's been taken just yet, but they have a nice, comfortable lead, and they want to keep that.
Yeah, and honestly, Dragonborns again, it's not looking super for them as we see Bjergsen there just walking away. He was actually stood on top of a ward. Actually, there's a lot of men coming in. There is a wither going down, but Riftwalk, it's just an amazing spell to have at this point. And we can see there, Bjergsen how ballsy he is in that situation. There's 4 of them there, and he comes in and does some damage onto Shushay before he actually leaves.
That's what he's so good at, though, knowing his limits. Like, just like Frogger, just like Alex, just like Ocelot, Expecate, any really amazing AP mid player, he knows his perfect limits and is able to kind of bounce around them. And, you know, I'm kind of looking at this as the fight progresses, as you saw, because you pointed out that he could not be locked down. The only person who could potentially do that is Shushay landing a charm or Movert landing a Q. Like, you know Bjergsen won't be locked down by a counter-strike by Jax, so it's up to them to land some sort of skill shot to kind of hold him there. If they don't, he's just going to run around and just see the Grace ulti going in, but it's not enough. And Bjergsen, he's got some blood in his eyes as he even wanted to chase him.
Actually, they are going to be going down towards Graves here in this bottom lane. There's no vision, and we are going to see Bjergsen going. Actually, the Varus ultimate completely missing there, and there is the Lantern, but Copenhagen Wolves don't care. They're going to flash in here, and it's the Test that picks up the kill. He's now on a killing spree at 3-0-0.
He was our highlighted player. We talked about how with the pressure off his shoulders, he can really step it up, and you're seeing in this game he's doing that perfectly. Great job shutting Jax down top lane, and now bot lane picking up 2 consecutive kills, 2 on a mover and 1 on a host right there. He's really growing as a player, I have to say.
And Svenskron just covering the middle lane as well, but all in the name of taking in inner turret down in this bottom lane. The Test, Officio, and Bjergsen all down there, and that will be 3-0 in turrets, but maybe not for too long. Svenskron actually going in. Here comes Shen as well. Is he going to land the taunt here on towards Maluno? Yes, he is. No help from the tower on that one. And you can see Shushay off to the side. No one cares about Shushay right now. They go in, take down the big tanky dog, and now Shushay going to be the one that's all under pressure. Bjergsen takes him out as well. And what a fight for Copenhagen Wolves. You saw there, Jason, how Shushay's at the side. They just didn't care about him because he's got no damage.
And also on top of that, you mentioned the silence coming out of Cassidy. You saw right there, he had 1 more charge as ultimate to get away, but with that silence, it locked him down. They were able to pick up that kill, and now they might be able to pick up 2 turrets off of that.
Yeah, amazing play again from the Copenhagen Wolves. We've kind of expected this from them as well. I feel like I'm boring myself with how much I've talked about it, but Copenhagen Wolves earlier on in the tournament, they were never a bad team, even though they were 0 for 9. If you compare that with Dragonborns right now and their 0 for 10 run, in these bad times, Copenhagen Wolves have looked still the better team throughout it.
And the thing is, like, with the way LCS has gone, like with people being able to, you know, get a gaming house, with being able to get into a 5-man team, not have to worry about a job or not necessarily school, they were able to pretty much step up their game in general. I think if you compare them now to before LCS, with, you know, back in DreamHack, they are leaps and bounds beyond better than, or better now than that.
Oh, Yamato Cannon here getting caught out on the turret itself, and we are going to see Deficio coming in, throws down the Grasping Roots. Nice prediction, actually, but in the end, we see Yamato Cannon having to flash away from that one, and even we see Cassidy going a little bit deeper on that one. Wise not to chase. Maluno was hanging around there.
And Joe, we're seeing the Wolves do something very smart right now. We talked about, you know, taking an early turret against Jax, you leave them open to farm, but what they've done is they took that turret, they took bottom turret, they took mid turret. They're being so aggressive, they're forcing Yamato Cannon to be there to fight, and because of that, he's still down about 50 CS at this point to his counterpart Shen, so they're keeping him out of this game right now, and they're doing a perfect job of doing it.
Absolute massive damage coming here on towards Shushay, who's going to use his ultimate to try and get away, but honestly, that's a Kassadin that's chasing him down right now. Hosan going to be waiting here. Let's see what Bjergsen can do. And as he comes in there, not really too worried. The charm is going to land though from Shushay, but again, we're talking about Cassidy here. Hardly any damage as a Varus ultimate comes in. They are going to go for this one completely. Svenskron coming in. There's a knock-up from Deficio. It lands onto Movert. That may well be another kill. Flash was used. Bjergsen comes in, but they are absolutely decimating the Dragonborns right now. Bjergsen still manages to survive. There's a double kill, and in the end, an ace for the Copenhagen Wolves.
I really hope the analysis desk looks at that fight in particular, because we saw Bjergsen, his perfect positioning. He went over the wall, but he went in position away from Jax, so Jax had to jump the other way, and it kept him able to just do as much damage as possible. Wolves taking a 5-0 right there, and Godbro didn't even have his ultimate up, but they're still going for a push on that bottom turret. They're going for a 4-man push on the mid turret, and they're going to pick up, they should pick up 2 more turrets here, and that's at least a 10,000 gold lead.
Yeah, the inner turret going down in that middle lane. Look at the score, 12-1, 10,000 gold is the difference. Let's have a look here at the individual gold. I have to say, and you know, we were right to call out the test here and say that he's got less pressure on his shoulders now than we had earlier on. He's now 5-0-4, got 20 CS ahead, and that's 8.6k to 6.4 thousand gold. Like, he's massively in the lead right now.
And that was all due to the picks and bans. Like, they gave him his comfort champion. It used to be Azure, but now it's switched over to Varus, and we've seen him do it time and time again, where he would just not die in these games. Even Syndra, or Bjergsen's pentakill, his first pentakill, we saw the test die once at the very end of that game. You just can't give comfort champions like that.
Let's talk a little bit about the items here. Shen, 50 CS ahead of Jax. You know, we used to see Jax build Trinity Force, get a Guardian Angel, and you're all good, basically.
Right.
Right now he's building up towards that Blade of the Ruin King. Yamato kind of not really had a good time of things. 0-2-0, 50 CS, as I said, behind right now. But how much of an impact can Jax really have on this game at this point?
It all depends on how late the game goes. We'll get back to that in a second. Bjergsen kind of getting caught right there, but you still see how mobile he is. Shen going to be coming in with his ultimate.
Yeah, Shen going to come down to this one. Let's see if they can save him. No, they can't. It's going to be Shushe that gets the kill. There is a dash away from Godbro as well into Dragon Pit. Didn't want to get involved with that one. Actually, less than a minute until this Dragon comes up as well. So we'll see how that one goes. Actually, Frozen Mallet picked up there by Shen. Obviously, wants to keep everyone under control as he goes. But not really a build that we see that often, to be honest with Shen.
I like the item, though, because it gives him that ability to chase. Like, you have Cassidy, who has a built-in slow with his Force Pulse when he gets in range and has stacks up. So you have him to slow, you have Diffuser to land, and, I mean, you cannot miss a Grasping Roots on a Frozen Malleted person. And then you have, you know, Sven's going to come in and slow with his Audacious Charge. So they have a great chase team right now, and that's all they really need when they're up this far. You know, you pointed out Yamato Cannon's items on Jax, and I don't think anyone has figured out a good build on him now in Season 3. And that may be due to the fact that he just doesn't have a good one, period. But, you know, I'm not really fond of that pick. We do see the test getting caught, and he might go down.
Yeah, he's going to be in trouble here. The box goes down. The test actually sticking right in there, but he is shut down there by Shushe. We did see Maluna going quite low. The charm lands onto Svenskar, and he will flash away, but can he actually escape this one? Bjergsen coming in from the side, and, well, he actually did manage to take down Nasus in all of that. You have to give credit to Svenskar for that. It was a 4 versus 1.
Yeah, that was a missed position, though, out of the Wolves. That's the second time that's happened. We saw Bjergsen get picked up like that. Now the test lost his killing streak. They gave over 500 gold to Shushe, which is not the person you want to give it to when he was already down in gold, already behind in items. It's going to get him that much closer. As you see, the Nisi Large picked up. See the Giant's Belt picked up on Movert, so you know he wants to be in the middle of the fight. He wants to be the focus because it allows the rest of his team to do that damage. And then you have even a Blasting Wand picked up on top of that with Shushe, so he will be going for that death cap relatively soon. And then the Blade of the Rune King is done for Yamato Cannon. So one thing that's nice about that item is it's going to give him the lifesteal, it's going to give him attack speed, and then it also gives him his active, which slows someone down and speeds you up. And we know how much movement speed is needed for a Jax. Like, you need to be able to stick to a target, and without the Trinity Force slow from the Phage, he won't have it. But the Blade of the Rune King does fill that position.
It's currently 0-2-1. Obviously, getting in there for the assist on that last kill on Svenskar. But if we look down the kills and how they're distributed actually on the Copenhagen Wolves side, it's perfect. Yeah, I mean, there's a kill even on Deficio there, just to give him that extra bit. We can see that Deficio, if you call him out, 5.6 thousand gold. That's more than Jax, that's more than Nasus, that's a lot more than the Thresh right now. There's only a couple of people on the other side, on the Dragonborn side, that have actually got more gold than Deficio.
And the thing is, the test has been giving him a little bit of CS on top of that, because he's sitting at 32 compared to the 8, so he's able to pick up the items. Like, he will be able to pick up his Luck of the Iron Solari relatively soon if he does decide to go for that, or his Shuralius, which is always a possibility. But, you know, that Ruby Sightstone, giving that extra vision in lane, protecting yourself so you won't get ganked, it really snowballs if you ever get that support. Just 1 or 2, you know, kills or 1 or 2 CS. You know, it's an earlier GP10, more wards and more protection.
So the plant being put down, obviously to tank up that turret if they need it, but as the minions come in, you see how fast that goes down. And the taunt is going to land here on towards Maluno. They're going to focus in on towards the jungler there. The test picks up the kill. He gets himself another one to add to that already impressive tally. There was Bjergsen going in, Godbro lands another taunt. He is very, very deep right now. Baroness ultimate going to land. There is a Stranglethorn's going to land, but Copenhagen Wolves back away. Yamato Cannon takes down Godbro.
Wow, that Grasping Roots that came out of Deficio was so perfect. You saw Yamato Cannon walking in, and he just got locked down with that, then knocked up. We see them turn around, going into Hosad, and he will get blown up.
Yeah, blown up is definitely the word for that one. The hook just skimming by the Tess, who Life steals his way back up to full health, says, well, you got me a little bit low there, but not for very long. Bloodthirster fully stacked in that one as well.
They even gave him a little tombstone, if you notice. They put a word on top of his body. A little nice thing out of Dragonborn's side, but, you know, he can't afford to be out of position like that. He's 1-4-2, 224 CS to 221. He's already leaps amounts behind the test, and he and Ari are the only ones, like you said before, that have more gold than Deficio, so he needs to stay alive. And we've seen him do something like that where he can be out of position. Usually he's able to make a play off of it, but right there you saw, didn't work out.
Didn't work out. And blue buff here going to be going over towards Shushe, who has got now DFG. Talk us through the whole DFG here, coming in for Ari. I mean, at this stage, obviously that DFG, you know, you've got that initial burst, plus the fact that the damage is then amplified. But what damage is amplified?
It's magic damage, but I'm not a big fan of that item picked up because you see these double AP comps is where it really comes into effect because you use it. It does the, you know, percent damage of max health, but it applies that 20% buff or amplifier to any magic damage taken. So if you're on that double AP comp, you can blow someone up, even if it's a tank that gets in your face. But it seems like almost a desperation item. But then again, he was so close to having his death cap, and yet he didn't go for that item. So we'll see how it works out for him. I mean, the cooldown reduction off it is going to help out quite a bit for his ult and his ability since he's going to need them during the fights. But to me, it's just personally not a great item to pick up.
And the funny thing is, you know, we talked about Bjergsen being involved a lot, and he's got the 9 assists to show for that one, but he's actually behind on kills right now when you compare him to Shushe. Both got a couple of deaths, but 3 kills to the 2 of Bjergsen there. As Godbro, he's, well, doing a shed, I think we can call it by now. Pushing straight down this bottom lane, going to be trying to split push that one off. We see Bjergsen coming around through the jungle, just trying to close off here the Dragonborns as they come in, and Godbro not going to want to get caught out, but that turret is not there, don't forget.
And look what's happening right now. We see 3 members of Wolves going for Baron. Bjergsen went down to help Shen, just to help him escape with his silence and with his slow, and they should be able to pick up that Baron quite easily, but then we see Dragonborns in hot pursuit. They're rushing towards that Baron. They have to stop it here, and the Wolves already have it down to under half-life.
Yeah, already down very, very low here, but will they be able to finish it off? Maluno puts in Wither on towards Atesu. He isn't going to be able to get away that easy, but here comes Shen. We see everything going down here on towards Dragonborns, but can they get the kills? Bjergsen going to get the first one here on towards Jack. Jax. That's a lot of damage taken out of this fight already as Hosan gets knocked up through the wall, even though he'd flashed away. Not going to save him from this one. Thresh did get 1 kill there in it all, and that was onto the test. A valuable kill nonetheless, but we are going to see Copenhagen Wolves turn back around. The Baron did reset itself, but they're going to take it.
That was still a beautiful play out of Wolves right there because Bjergsen and because Godbro were down at that bottom lane. You saw Shushe there trying to defend. And then you have Bjergsen with that Rift Vault. He's able to get to that Baron very quickly. You have the Shen ultimate to get there as well. And Shushe was left there, and it was a 5-on-4 in the end. Wolves come out with those 4 kills for 1 death, and the Baron buff on top of that. They could easily go for that push on the bottom inhibitor, or even let Godbro do that while they push the top lane and really split up Dragonborns. But Wolves looking very solid right now to take this game.
Yeah, 19-6. They've got a big kill lead from this one. 48,000 to 36,000. 12k gold lead. 12.7 if we're being accurate. It's just a massive amount of gold for Copenhagen Wolves. They've got all the kills nicely distributed. 2-1-12 on Shen. 4-1-12 on Svenskeren. Like, they've been involved so often with all these kills, which, you know, you can understand with the Shen anyway, because of Stan United, you get there, you say thank you very much for that assist. But on the other side, you know, Svenskeren, he's been so impressive. Yesterday, obviously, we did give the MVP over to Bjergsen from his play, but honestly, Svenskeren was a highly contested one. We saw him finishing off a few kills with the flag, with his Jarvan, which is, I think, almost why we didn't give it to him. Yeah, he came in a little bit late there, threw the flag and got the kills. Thank you very much. But he has been so impressive. We talk about Bjergsen, how he's the star player. Bjergsen here is going to be getting caught out. The Wither does go down, gets a slow onto everyone. Maluno just backed away from him. They are scared of this one. But again, my point, we talk about how good Bjergsen is and how he's changed his team. Honestly, Svenskeren is another one who has stepped things up brilliantly. Godbro as well. I mean, he didn't really do much at all in the first half of this first half of the season, but he's a different player right now.
Yeah, it all comes down to comfort champions as well. He's playing a Shen he's comfortable on. Svenskeren on Xin, Bjergsen on Kasten, the Tess on Varus. Deficio on Zyra is the only if you want at this point, but you gave them those 4 comfort champions. Like, you can't expect to win.
If he means 3-0-10, then yeah.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. Like Svenskjern, he stepped up for his team quite a bit. Bjergsen, I mean, he didn't even need to step up. He was already there. The test has come back and see Bjergsen getting caught.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming down there. We see the Stranglethorns coming in there. Yamato can actually wasn't really the focus. They decided to back away from that one. Bjergsen again getting caught out, but it's all in the name of Godbro, who's pushing again down towards this inhibitor, which at some point is going to take away.
And right there, we saw it may have been too much of a focus for him because he let Bjergsen die in the end from that. If he was top lane with them and they pushed up, they might have been able to save him, might have been able to pick up a couple of kills in that turret inhibitor, but you know, that's a lot of time and a lot of focus to give to that without picking up any objective there.
Now we see Godbro starting off the Dragon. He's got a ward cleverly placed there at the back of that Dragon Pit. Sees that Hosan is coming in, and if anyone's ballsy enough to just go in for that one, it would be Hosan. We see there, Mover. He's like, I need some health, guys, but I'm not sure I'm going to finish off a Warmogs or anything similar, so I'm just going to buy a second Giant's Belt.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he wants to be in the middle of the fight. Like, he wants to be the one taking the damage. He wants to keep Hosan and Shushe alive. So that's an easy way to do that. Plus, with his passive, he already has 116 armor at this point. He's a very tanky person against the other side of the team, but you know, he's doing his job as support. It's kind of unfortunate he can't pick up any items. They could really use a Locket of the Iron Solari to mitigate some of this AoE damage and burst damage they're putting down, but I mean, we'll see how well it works, because he stayed alive quite a bit in these fights, but then again, Wolves are kind of ignoring him. They're like, you know what? Yeah, he's building health, but he's just support. Let's just go for their damage. They only have 2 people that can really do anything at this point.
Talk us a little bit through the items, Jason, here. I'll start off with a prime example between the AD carries Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, and the Home Guard Berserkers for Graves. Compare that over to Blade of the Ruin King, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, Warmogs in for Varus.
Well, you look at the items right now. So we have 2 completed items for Hosan, like you were mentioning, but we only have 1 completed item for every other member of the team, and not even 1. Actually, we have, I guess, the Philistone. We'll get back to the second. You do see a potential engage here. They're trying to go for this inhibitor.
Godbro goes straight in there. He's hardly lost any health from that one. It's a Varus ultimate not quite landing on its target. Stranglethorns going. They've managed to take down Maluno, who he's the tankiest one in the team. They're not caring about this whole focus. Go for the squishies. What are you talking about? Take out the tank, first of all, as the inhibitor is going to be focused on here as the test does get hooked. Shushe unloads everything onto him, but he's got a Warmogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's tanky.
Dragonborns are trying to chase them away. They will be able to, but they still lost inhibitor in the end. But, you know, going back to... Oh, never mind. Wolves are sitting all right on the side.
Oh, they're going to bait Shushe into this one completely. There's the ultimate coming out of Svenskjern as well. Graves' ultimate thrown into the mix as well. But you're not going to see Yamato going down. It's a double kill coming out there. And now they're chasing him to try and finish off the entire team. There is the ace coming out of Copenhagen Wolves. 24-7. This is not a close game, Jason.
Not at all. And with these respawn timers, they should be able to finish up this game. GG's already being called out for Dragonborns. And then we talked about the highlighted players for Dragonborns side. For Shushe, wasn't able to really step up, become like the person he needs to really do the damage for his team. Yamato can as well. I mean, 154 CS to the 254 for Godbro. That's not what you need as a Jax. And Wolves, they just systematically took that game. That was spot on perfect.
Yeah, spot on. You see there what it means as well. Deficio, very, very happy about that one. Bjergsen, it's like, well, job done, you know. Standard day at the office for the Wolves. But a really, really good performance. But we have to focus, honestly, on the other side, sadly, on the negatives of this, because Dragonborns are now 0-for-11. That is a record which we've not seen up until now in the EU LCS. Of course, the biggest record that we had before that was the Copenhagen Wolves. They were 0-for-9 at the start of the season, but Dragonborns far surpassing that one. And, you know, they quite frankly need more wins at this point. They need any wins. Now, I talk about more wins, but just any wins at this point. You can see that the mood is still pretty light there in the Dragonborns camp, but they need to turn that into victories.
Yep, they will. And you know what? Speaking of victories for Dragonborns, hopefully the analysis desk can kind of give us an insight to what Dragonborns has to do to start picking up some games.
Well, we are going to go over to the analysis desk right now. It's Freak and Quickshot, and it is, I can tell you, the hairiest analysis desk we've had all season, with the return of a good old friend.
Welcome to the analyst desk. Our good old friend is here.
Thank you, Freak.
Hello.
I'm happy to be here. This was not creepy in the least.
Not at all,
no.
Xenon.
Yes.
Not at all creepy. Hello. So, excellent game by the
Copenhagen Wolves.
Copenhagen Wolves overall. I think they played better. Nice attempt, of course, by the Dragonborns, but man, that game was, I guess, pretty harsh.
I have to admit, I mean, people sometimes say that I'm a little biased towards other people with long hair, but I did not expect Dragonborns to take this game, and you could see that in Dragonborns' minds, they were like, oh, we just have to shut down Bjergsen, just shut down Bjergsen, and they got him a couple of times. There were a couple of good hooks and so on, and they just all piled on top of him. But you know what? There's a little guy called the Tess who didn't do too bad a job on Varus there.
Yeah, he was completely left unattended for the majority of the matchup. They simply couldn't break through the front line of that Xin Zhao and that Shen to even get to the Tess. At no point did you feel like the Tess was under pressure of being, focused down or taken out. And from the very get-go, Xuxe started out with AD runes in his reds. He had a lot of attack damage. He opted to go for Home Guard boots first, then Fiendish Codex. So it felt like he was struggling a little bit itemization-wise. Didn't really find his groove in that matchup.
He did a couple of strange things that we remarked on as we were watching the game as well. So he went up against the Kassadin with 9 healing pots. And for those of you who didn't watch the stream yesterday, Feral Pony was actually on here and he was talking about our plans around health potions. We are going to limit the maximum amount of them you can have in your inventory at one time to 5. So
that's
9
a current
potions.
plan. Could always change.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we want to do. We've been talking about it for a while. Obviously, there are different opinions within the design team as well. But I think just my gut feeling is the consensus is swinging that way. We'll see what will happen.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you're going up against the Kassadin who has all that sustain, why would you trade? Why would you favor trading over CSing? And the answer is because you're Xuxe.
Try to set the kills up. So let's talk about some of the gameplay moments because, of course, it was fairly one-sided. The Copenhagen Wolves set up a number of plays. They really got a number of very good kills. I'm highlighting one of the double kills around about the 17-minute mark where Svenska went aggressive in the mid lane tower. He called for Godbro Stand United. That came on. And from the bottom lane, you had the Tess and Bjergsen roaming top after that. Actually picked up some kills in the bottom lane as well. They managed to get 2 for 0 plus the mid lane tower for free. And it was purely just from coordination, positioning, and from calling. And it was pretty much rinsed and repeated throughout the match.
And in that situation, it was a 1v2 under tower. There was Maluno and Xuxe were working on the outer middle tower, I have to say. It was still the outer tower at this point. And Svenska goes aggressive on them. What do you think in that situation? And it almost felt like Xuxe and Maluno were thinking, really? You're going to give us this free kill? Like they weren't even thinking for a second, oh, right, there's a Shen in the game. And he's going to come in and he's going to kind of like taunt us and ruin our day.
Yeah. Pretty difficult. So we do have a replay prepared. It was the only ace in the game up until the very final minutes. It is 19 minutes 30 on the clock. So let's jump into this replay right now. I'm going to keep the HUD up because it starts off all over the place. I really want to highlight where every single player is on the map right now. First and foremost, Xuxe is caught up a river without a paddle because he is in trouble right now. You can see a number of members of the Wolves starting to roll around. Zenon, talk us through the play. Talk us through some of the key moments here. We're going to let it just play at full speed.
Sure.
But, really good setup from the Copenhagen Wolves.
So Xuxe here is forced immediately to use his ultimate defensively. He goes down to so very, very little health. The Tess and Bjergsen are both there. They are flashing out. But now Xuxe and Hossan both share the same mindset. And that mindset is, oh, we want to go aggressive at any cost. So Hossan's like, I'm Graves. I'm here in the brush. He's going to step in and I'm going to blow him up because... well, that's not going to happen because at this point Bjergsen already had his Roa finished. He had a lot of health and, well, Hossan was standing in the brush. Obviously, he had the lantern to be safe. So he puts a little burst down. You see Bjergsen barely registers that burst. And Svenska now coming in, doing his usual thing, being aggressive. And from here on out, it's just the Wolves collapsing perfectly on Dragonborns, who still did not understand the amount of danger they're in here.
So there's definitely something I want to point out and highlight as well. As we watch now the next couple of sections, you can obviously see the Copenhagen Wolves that want to pick a fight. They've been in the lead for the setup right now. And pay careful attention to Bjergsen's positioning and his control. He literally delays jumping into a fight until he's 125 million% sure they're going to be successful with this. So we're going to follow Maluno at the top because he sort of gets pushed out first. And then, of course, take a look at Bjergsen here.
He does get chumped up a little bit there. It doesn't bother him too much. Again, great Varus ultimate here from the Tess. Bjergsen waiting, like you're saying, perfect amount of time. The second the Sire ultimate comes in, he jumps across. Hossan is deleted, as Quickshot would say. Maluno is fighting a losing battle against two people up there. The test is doing too much damage. And down bottom we see Bjergsen now absolutely safe with everybody running, going in, picking up one kill, allowing Sensgren to pick up the other kill. Maluno not going anywhere but to the death chamber.
It was such a good play, and you actually see in there that, you know, Yamato Gannon did the best that he could in that situation. He jumped onto the test. It was his responsibility to try and force him out and shut him down. But immediately, Deficio turned around. He peeled off from the rest of the fight because his Stranglethorns had knocked everyone up. And he was backing up the test the whole time, holding his hand and saying, no, you shall not pass. So, you know, really good play, but it was the story of the matchup. The fights that Copenhagen Wolves picked, they won. And the accidental death sentences that they caught, they, you know, got taken out hook, line, and sinker.
They got deaths from them.
Yeah, that's the sentence. Death. It's a 5-4-0 exchange here as well. And it's just, at this point, it's 12-1 were the kills at this point, and I have to say Dragonborns probably not the best team for keeping a positive mentality. And you just saw from that point on, the only times that they rallied at all was when that death sentence, as you pointed out, landed on Bjergsen. But even that was nothing at this point, because we saw in this fight again, the test, the ultimate placement was perfect. He put the ultimate down in such a way that they were stuck with two choices. Either get like 3 or 4 members rooted, which is kind of bad if you have people like Kassadin who can just take you out, or spend all the time running away that you would otherwise spend doing damage. And that's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, so of course we did manage to name the Tess as our MVP for this game. The AD carry for Copenhagen Wolves played phenomenally. You can see him up there. Though he had the lowest KDA on his team, he's certainly having a better and better game overall. Went 9-2-12 in this game with the highest CS as well. So certainly an all-star player there and great performance from him. And of course, speaking of the test, we do have an interview with the man himself. So let's send it over to Shocks.
Thank you very much. I'm here with the test now. In the pregame interview, Deficio said Dragonborns are kind of looking for the way they want to play. So how do you prepare against a team like that?
It's difficult to prepare something specific for them because we don't know if they're going to pull out something crazy. We were kind of expecting them to pull out something crazy because I think when they're backed into a corner, they're gonna. But to our surprise, they didn't. And for preparation, we just focus on our own play and what we want to do and what we want to make work.
You played quite aggressive. Is that the style you had before coming to LCS, or did you just get it back because you're very confident after getting so many wins now?
I think it's confidence as well as we got better, and now we just see a lot more openings. We grab them basically. So it's more aggressive because we go hard now, I guess.
It was going very well, and then at the end, you didn't quite close it out as fast as you could have, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, everything was executed so well at the start. Then kind of towards the end of the game, it got a bit sloppy, and then we picked it up again.
Talking about the all-star voting, you're not in the top for the voting for the AD carry. Do you think that's normal, or do you think you deserve a spot there?
I think there are other AD carries that deserve the spot more than me, so I'm completely fine with it. We're like number 5 in the rankings right now, so it makes sense that we wouldn't be in the top of the all-star voting. And there are teams that have been around for a lot longer than we have, so maybe in the future.
Now you're number 5 in the rankings. You've come an incredible way, and you have a test up ahead of you because you got Gambit again. So how will you beat them? And you failed last time around.
Well, it's hard with Gambit. They're arguably the best team here, and they're looking really strong right now. So we're just going to have to do our best, try again, and see if it works this time.
Thank you very much, the test. All right, now it's time for a short break, but when we come back, the Giants are going to take on Against All Authority. Giants managed to beat Gambit last week in a crazy game. Let's see if they can recreate some of that magic versus Against All Authority. AAA versus Giants in just a minute.